The biggest problem of the Israelites when they were enslaved by Egypt was not that they were slaves, but that they lost their identity. Um, they began forgetting about God. They started not keeping the Sabbath day, not worshiping. In other words, losing that relationship with God. And when they finally got out, God's mission was to remove Egypt from their heart. Not Egypt, the country, of course, but I mean the pagan ways of Egypt during that time. So when they settled out of in Jerusalem, it must have been a joy for them when Isaiah told them that um, now that you have settled here, uh, you will be taken care of. And there's one keyword that Isaiah said in today's reading that really struck me. While from behind a voice shall sound in your ears, this is the way, walk in it, when you would turn to the right or to the left. In other words, when they began to get the paganism out of their hearts and started focusing on God and started following His ways, especially after giving them the commandments, they began to know the will of God. They began to know what to do. And it was a joy for them because for the longest time, they were lost. They didn't find happiness. It was darkness for them. And when God guided them, they found direction. It was not as if God was trying to put them in a box. They never saw it that way. Instead, they rejoiced that now they are guided. And that is something that we should learn from, you know. We should be thankful that the church is guiding us, telling us what to do. It's not because the church wants to intrude in our lives, but because the church has been guided by God and has been protected by God to teach us the right way. And in a time of darkness, the culture of death, guidance is very difficult to come true. A lot of false prophets come, and it's very important that we have a sure guide. But we also need to remember that in the gospel, when Jesus sends out the 12, asking them to preach to the people, teach them what he has taught them, guide those whom they will encounter. Jesus is also telling us that if you have built your relationship with God, if you are benefiting from this guidance, if you know how to tap into the wisdom of the church, if you know how to get wisdom from the guidance of the Holy Spirit, and you should also go out and teach others as well. You see, not everyone has heard of God. Not everyone can benefit of the same things that the Israelites benefited when they started following God. And that's no fault of their own because they have never heard of the good news. Or maybe they heard it, but they didn't understand it, or it wasn't presented to them in such a loving way. And that's where you come in. God is telling you that I have guided you, I guide you, but the world needs my guidance as well. And you are the instrument that I have chosen. You know, a lot of times we are afraid to step out, afraid to speak, afraid to do, to act the way that God asks us. But Jesus is telling us, I am with you. And just as I have guided the Israelites, the prophets, and enabled them to reach the promised land, so do I guide you and come with you. And you have much more greater things than the Israelites. You have the Holy Spirit with you. You have the church with you. So follow, be guided, and share your faith.